Hey everybody, and welcome to Getting to Know Your Calculator Day. So what we're going to do is just go over some basics of our TI-84 calculator. Some of you may be very familiar with the calculator, some of you may not really know how to use it. You are going to be able to use this all year long in this class, as well as on your Algebra 1 EOC that you're going to take in May. So it's really important that you understand how to use it because it can be a really, really big help when we start getting into lines and systems and things like that. So let's just start with the very basic. How do we turn on and off our calculator? Well, that's going to be down here in the bottom left with the on-off key. Now you'll notice above the word on, it says off, and the word off is in blue. Now anything that you see in blue, you have to hit the second key before you can access it. So if I wanted to turn my calculator off, I would have to hit second, which is at the top left, it's the blue key, and then the on key, and that would turn my calculator off. So the second key is to access anything that you see in blue. If you have an older calculator, a TI-83, then you're going to see that the second key is yellow. If you hit alpha, and then anywhere you see the green letters, that will allow you to put an alpha character on there. So let's say I want to do alpha H, alpha I. Hi. All right, let's talk about lightening and darkening the screen. Sometimes when you pick up a calculator, especially one that you are borrowing from your teacher, you turn it on and you can't see anything. It doesn't mean that the calculator is dead, it just means that it's probably too light for you to see. So right here where you see the 4 arrows at the top right in the middle you see the half moon looking thing, or the full moon that's half shaded in. This is lighten and darken. So obviously the dark would be darken, the light would be lighten. It's in blue, so we have to hit second. So if I want to lighten the screen, I hit second, and then I hold the down arrow. And you'll see the numbers up at the top get smaller. That means that my screen is lightening. If I want to darken it, I hit second, and then I hold the up arrow. And my numbers will start getting bigger, and the higher it goes, the darker it gets. So before you run and think that your calculator is out of batteries, try lightening or darkening the screen first. If we travel down the right side a little bit more, we've got our operations here. Division is just division. This is what you also use to put in a fraction. So if I wanted to put in the fraction 3/4, 3 divided by 4. That gives me a fraction. The x is multiplication, the minus is subtraction, and the plus is addition. Enter, that is your equals. So if I put the 3/4 in there and I wanted to see what that was as a decimal, I could hit enter and it's going to give me my answer. 3 divided by 4 is 0.75. Moving down a little bit to the left, you see it looks like a minus sign that's in parentheses. This is actually for negative numbers. So if I want to do -6 plus 3, I need to use the negative sign. If you use the minus sign, the subtraction sign, you will end up with an error. You've got your decimal point, which is just to the right of your 0. So that's your decimal point if you're putting in decimals. You've got your numbers, 0 through 9. If you look above the 8 and the 9, you've got parentheses here. We use parentheses a lot in this class. We use them whenever we are evaluating, which we'll learn later on. It's also a good habit to use them when you are using fractions with a bunch of different numbers. So let's say I wanted to do 9 plus 3/4. I'm going to put the 3/4 in parentheses just to make sure that I don't mess up my order of operations. So earlier we had found our decimal value. So if I have 9.75 there, and I want to know what that is as a fraction. So in Algebra 1 we use lots and lots of fractions, but it doesn't mean you can't use your calculator, it just means that you have to turn your decimals into fractions. And the way you do that is by hitting the math key. If I hit math, you will see the very first option, option number 1, has a little arrow and it says frac. That means turn my decimal into a fraction. So I would hit math, enter, and enter again, and that will give you your fractional answer. Math, enter, enter. You will probably be hearing that a lot this year. The other thing that you can find under the math menu, if you right cursor over to num, the very first option there is absolute value. If you need to put exponents in, there's a couple different ways you can do this. Over on the left side where it says x to the second power, this does a squared power, so 5 to the second power. However, let's say you want to do something to the third power or the fifth power or the sixth power. Then you use the key right under the clear key. I call it a little caret. It looks like a little up arrow, and basically what that does is it tells your calculator, hey, move me up into the exponent area so I can put my exponent. So let's say I want to do 6 to the fourth power. Now to get out of it, you've got to right cursor over, so just a warning there, and that will allow you to do your exponent. Now I've got a bunch of stuff on my screen now, and I want to get rid of it, so I can hit clear to do that. That's one way to clear out of things. If you are in a menu that you're trying to get out of, if you look above the mode key on your calculator, it says quit. That's a way that you can get out of things. So if clear is not getting you out of there, hit second mode, and that will quit for you. Now as we move into our Algebra 1 topics and we start talking about lines, we're going to be using the variable x a lot. So find your alpha key and go one right. You see xt theta n. This is how you can get the variable x. So this screen right here with the blinking cursor, this is called the home screen. This is the first screen that you see when you turn on, and anytime you clear or quit out of something, it's going to take you back to the home screen. This is where you put in all of your operations that you want to do, any addition, subtraction, anything like that. Entering mixed numbers into your calculator. So we've talked about how to enter a fraction, but we haven't talked about how to enter a mixed number. We don't use mixed numbers a lot in Algebra 1, but they do pop up every now and then, so it is important that we do know how to put them in our calculator. So let's say that I want to put the number 5 1/4 into my calculator. So the way you do this is you put the whole number first without the negative if it is a negative. So 5, and then plus, and then in parentheses, remember we talked about fractions in parentheses, your fractional piece. Now, like I said, leave off any negative signs. If your whole number was negative to begin with, then stick the negative back on at the end. So I hit enter, and there is my mixed number as a decimal. And if I wanted to turn that into a fraction, what would I hit? I'm hoping you all said math, enter, enter. And there it is as an improper fraction. So your calculator won't give you mixed numbers, it's going to give you improper fractions, but you can put your mixed numbers in. The last thing that I want to talk about is clearing the calculator. There are 5 keys to do this. They go in this order: second, plus, 7, 1, 2. That will reset your calculator. This is really helpful if you get a calculator, especially one that you're borrowing from your teacher, and you turn it on and something crazy is going on. The easiest thing to do is to just reset the memory. It will restore everything back to where it should be. So that is pretty much all as far as the basics of the calculator go. We will be using the calculators a lot this year, like I said before, so there are lots of things that you'll be learning along the way. This is just a getting started point for you, so good luck.